Maria Makamo, what would it be like to hear your own voice after 8 years of silence? Aucklander Maria Hall thought she was doing the right thing when she chose a life of repression, a life many of us couldn't understand, let alone endure. But Maria was hiding a secret, one she punished herself for inside a religious order she now calls a cult. Tonight, Maria Hall, formerly Madre Maria Paloma, tells Janet McIntyre how she lost her faith and nearly her mind.
Dios te salve María, llena eres de gracia, el Señor es contigo. Bendita tú eres entre todas las mujeres. Silence, solitude, aloneness, hardship.
She stayed awake night after night, her arms outstretched for Jesus.
Feel the pain, and feel the pain, and feel the pain.
How long would that go on for?
All night on Saturday night. We never slept. This is the veil, and it went over the face like this.
Why would you have to wear that?
Because I was a Carmelite.
How did this former Auckland schoolteacher, smart, educated, worldly, end up living a life cloistered and repressed? The only words she was allowed to speak, prayer.
Santa María, Madre de Dios y Madre Nuestra. No heaters in winter, no ventilation in summer, a heavy Carmelite habit, 50 degrees temperature, layers of clothing, and a boned corset to dig into one's ribs.
What was that made of?
Pass. I have no idea.
How did you bathe?
We didn't.
You didn't bathe?
It sounds horrible, I know. We had a bucket in our rooms.
Self-imprisoned in this small, remote Spanish town for 8 years, all because of a guilty secret.
Did you think you were going to keep this a secret for the rest of your life?
Absolutely. I was just going to bury it. It definitely doesn't look like my eyebrows.
Now undercover, Maria Hall and her partner Nick Abbott have returned to the Cathedral of Palma del Troya.
We can see razor wire to stop people getting in. But this is like a concentration camp.
A large compound surrounded by a high concrete wall, guards and dogs at the perimeter.
I never expected to ever return. I see it for what it truly is. They are a cult.
She was a serious child, part of a big family raised in suburban Auckland. Dad worked hard at business, Mum worked hard at being Catholic, as did Maria.
Before I was a woman, before I was a New Zealander, I would have said I'm a Catholic. That defined who I was.
She was shoulder-tapped by a priest to become a nun and joined a convent. Then, after training to be a schoolteacher, she went to Australia to take her vows of poverty, chastity and obedience, never realising the enormity of the challenge.
I believed that God would guide me and strengthen me, and I would find a way.
As a trainee nun in a convent near Melbourne, young and naive, she met a man while on a walk, a man who took her virginity.
Did you want to have sex?
Of course not.
Did you tell him it?
No, I didn't know how to say anything. Just in a moment when I was overpowered by a situation and a person.
Did he rape you?
That's a big word, and I've never used that word.
And how did that experience leave you feeling afterwards?
Brutalised.
Maria fell pregnant and felt she had no choice but to leave the convent and give up her baby boy, telling no one but her parents.
Conceiving a child was the defining moment for me because it impacted hugely on the rest of my life.
How did you reflect on that?
With guilt.
Guilt about?
Ever getting into that position. Giving a baby away.
But she hadn't yet given away God. She heard about a new religious order in Spain gaining momentum in the tiny town of Palma del Troya, a breakaway order from the Roman Catholic Church. Nuns and priests, under the control of a self-proclaimed pope, offering their lives in sacrifice to God. Maria believed she heard God ask her to join them.
The words were, make reparation. And I thought, perhaps God was asking me to pay the price for my past.
Did you know what you were heading to?
I didn't have a clue.
Maria would have no contact with the outside world. She was made to work long hours in the Abbey, with no rest and no speech.
8 years of not speaking, not expressing myself in any way, of dumbing everything down inside, of trying to control every human instinct that I had.
Her parents travelled from New Zealand to visit. Maria, here on the right with her dad.
It was wonderful to see them, but I couldn't speak to them, and I couldn't see them, and they couldn't see me or really speak to me because we only had 2 or 3 minutes. And I had a chaperone at my side, so I couldn't say any of the things that I really wanted to say.
Of your vows, poverty, chastity and obedience, how did you feel about chastity?
Chastity, tricky, because how do you squash your libido? You can't turn a switch and flick it off. So for me it was a constant struggle.
What did you do about that?
Well, I asked my superior if I could remove the mattress off my bed. We only had a little mattress, a couple of inches thick. She said yes, I could. And so I lay on a plank of wood every night.
Why?
I hoped that that would punish my body even more. And you love the pain because you're identifying with Jesus on the cross.
Maria was heading for a breakdown. Exhausted, she got a headache that went untreated for 4 years. She was losing her faith. She started to imagine things.
I thought there were insects under my skin. And I thought that, people could read my thoughts. I thought that the Pope could read my thoughts.
You lost your faith and your mind?
Yes. I probably had to lose my mind in order to lose my faith.
She walked out of the convent with no possessions and walked away from her vows.
Just all those dreams, all that faith, all that belief, there was no more.
At 37, she began to rebuild her life in Auckland, returning to teach for a while. But these past students were shocked to find out just recently about their music teacher's previous life.
That's me.
Where?
Here. And I never talked. Ever. What? In 8 years. I just prayed.
Oh my goodness.
And you had to cover your face like that?
Yes.
Hard to believe the woman under the veil was their beloved Miss Hall.
Because you used to talk so much. So it's like, what? I would never have thought of you being able to be quiet for 8 years.
Yeah.
Maria met Nick Abbott, an engineer, a non-Christian, and they clicked.
Well, how many people do you meet that say they'd been a nun? I mean, this is not normal, is it? This is not your everyday meeting in the street. Oh, by the way, I was a nun.
Late last year, Maria and Nick made plans to go together to Spain 25 years after Maria had left.
It was Nick suggesting that we go, and he thought it would be good for me, and that seemed like such a weird idea. How could returning there be good for me?
Finally, she agreed, only if she could go in disguise.
I don't think I'd be recognisable.
Maria made scapulars, iconic Carmelite necklaces, hoping the couple could pass themselves off as genuine believers and get themselves through the gates.
Why were you so worried about being recognised?
Because I'm excommunicated. I've actually left the order. I've taken solemn vows. Therefore, I am breaking my vows. This means I am in a state of mortal sin and I am going to hell.
Last month, she was off to southern Spain.
When I first entered, this is the abbey I was in for the first 12 months. Then I moved next door and I lived there for a long time.
Things have changed since Maria walked out of the cathedral.
It looks a lot grander than it did when I was here.
The priests and nuns, now all living within the wall, apparently self-sufficient. That night, dressed as believers, they are greeted at the gate by dogs and a guard.
Hola.
Can we come in? ¿Podemos entrar?
Soy Palmarianos, ¿no?
Palmarianos.
They make it through.
I'm going through a locked door. It's clanging behind me. There's a 20-foot high wall all the way around us. And if we need to get out of there, we can't. So we are trapped in there.
Then 3 cardinals walked down to greet us.
Father asked if you've come from Australia.
We have.
Their homemade scapulars raise suspicion.
Where did you get the scapulars from?
We got the scapulars through our contact in the States.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, all right, yes.
They interrogate us.
It's out of date.
It's out of date, probably, is it?
It's
Yes,
out of
well,
date.
we thought that it might be out of date.
Ordered to stop filming, they see the gate has reopened.
This is our chance. Let's get out of here. This is horrible. I don't like this.
They'd given fake names.
They basically said they hadn't heard of us, so they know the names of everybody all around the world who belongs to their group, and because we were not on their list, then they immediately knew that we did not believe, and we most certainly were not allowed to film.
Maria, once and for all, turned her back on the Palmarian Church and on religion.
It was kind of like breaking a spell. I realised that there is no spell anymore.
So what do you think now? Is there a God?
I have no idea, and it doesn't matter. But at the moment, I don't actually think about God. I think about us, here, now, life, opportunity.
And she thinks about her son, the baby she conceived and gave away over 30 years ago, charting her life course. Maria's met him, but they've yet to find peace.